Hey everyone, in this episode we're taking a look at the movie The Favorite. We're going to explore the characters and the plot, and we'll see if this is Emma Stone's best performance. So tune in to episode 98 of the Reel-ists podcast. Team Reel-ists, welcome to this episode. I'm Oscar.
I'm Donnie.
And we have our producer Ruben here as well.
Hello.
He says hello, or as in the 18th century England, they would say hello. I don't know.
That sounded like the same kind of hello.
Was it? I felt it was different. I was practicing all day. No, just kidding. But yes, welcome to this episode. If it is your first time, thank you for selecting us and listening to the review for The Favorite. Hopefully you stick around for other movies or come back as a source to listen to movie reviews. And if this is anything else more than the first, thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. We appreciate all listens. Anytime you even type in our name on Google or YouTube or iTunes, we appreciate the consideration. Trying to keep it in like awards like mentality for your consideration.
Coming up. They are coming up.
So there is, the best podcast award. Just kidding.
Hopefully we're a contender this year.
If not,
We've already gotten a little bit of buzz.
I'm hearing that they're selecting you for best host.
Oh my!
So let's see.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, let's see if you make it all the way. Those.
It's just an honor to be nominated.
There's the Mikeys, and then there's the
the Mikeys.
The microphone. Try to keep it in the Emmy, Grammy
There
thing.
you
But,
go. That's good.
So yes, people are like, I came for the review, not for this distraction. But thank you everyone for listening to this episode. It is going to be a spoiler discussion of The Favorite. So it's actually, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't blame you because it's in limited theaters right now. It's actually going to come out Christmas time, so around the 21st or the 25th. Mm-hmm. Check your local theaters for more show times. And so we're kind of giving you a little preview if you're interested in this movie. It was playing nearby for us, so we were having an opportunity to see it. So, yeah. So hopefully we can encourage you to go see it if you haven't already. If you have seen it, don't forget to share your thoughts when we're finished. So, as always, Donnie, please have the honor of giving your quick thoughts for this movie.
Oh, I don't mind if I do. This movie was definitely interesting. It was when I saw the trailer, I always start my thoughts off with that. I realize I do that now.
Setting a story.
When I saw the trailer, that's like my go-to line to kick us off. Because it starts with the trailer. Every movie we see starts with the trailer. Like that's okay. So let me take you guys down a walk down memory lane.
Again, he does not care about the movie.
No, because look, I'm really obviously I love I'm the kind of person that it's kind of irrelevant now because we go to the movies 2 sometimes 3 times a week, so we're always up to date on the trailers.
Yeah.
But before where I was only going to the movies like once a month or once every 2 months, I was the person I hated missing the trailers. Like if the movie says it starts at 12:25, that's when the trailers start. So I need to be at the movie theater by 12:10. So I can get in line, get some popcorn, and be ready for the trailers. That was just as important to me as the movie. Because the trailer is that's the first thing you see. It's like a first impression. When they say, oh, you want to make a good first impression on someone, I feel like the trailer really symbolizes that. Like it's a first impression of this film that's going to come out, and it gets you excited and gets you inquiring and makes you want to go see it. So when I saw the trailer for this movie... obviously I was excited. Rachel Weisz, Emma Stone, knew exactly who, seen their film. So I was like, ooh, this is going to be great. The actress who played the Queen, I'm not familiar with her work, I don't believe. But she looked just as entertaining to watch. So I knew there was going to be 3 strong performances by 3 great actresses. And more so the acting was what really sold me at first, and it seemed like there was going to the storyline, the period, the time that I was in also looked really intriguing. because those period pieces are pretty interesting. You know, it's obvious it's a different time other than, you know, what we're used to or what we're even close to knowing anything about.
What 70% of the movies we do see are accustomed to, like, modern settings.
Yeah. So when they take it back that far back, and you know, it's a treat, I feel like. So initial thoughts on the movie, it was edgy. I feel like it had these kind of pieces, these kind of films where they go into, like, you know, 15th century, 16th century, and we're talking about royalty and the queen and that kind of stuff. Sometimes they could get a little dry, but I feel like this film definitely had an appropriate amount of scandal to it that really kept us engaged and gave me something to really sink my teeth into. I will say that it was definitely from what I got from it, like a Farsi kind of satirical film. That it was kind of offbeat, it was a comedy drama, and I think it was supposed to be more so a drama, but it definitely had comedic moments and comedic beats to it. But there were certain times where I found myself going, am I supposed to laugh at this part, or are they supposed to be seriously doing, like, is this supposed to be a serious thing or accurate to the history or to the time? So I kind of had that little conflict throughout some scenes, not all of them. And the ending kind of left me a little questioned. So I guess initially I don't feel like the movie answered all my questions or really wrapped a few things up for me. But however, overall, I did feel that the film was interesting, and I think the performances were phenomenal. I thought the acting was great. And I thought the storyline itself, there was this subplot of they were trying to decide if they wanted to write this peace treaty or they wanted to continue to try to, like, attack. Was it France? Was that the country that they were trying to decide if they wanted to have a peace treaty or attack France and go to war again or something? They kind of need, I guess you kind of needed something like that to kind of drive the story. I found that aspect of the story not as engaging as the personal between the three characters, the three females. But I think overall it was a good film. And I will share more thoughts later.
It is interesting because it's usually classified as a comedy more than drama.
Yeah?
Yeah. Supposedly, like, if you do, like, a quick search.
Yeah, I think I found something that said dramedy and then it said comedy/drama. Like, it said it, like, two different ways. I'm like, okay.
So, just to kind of recap those that are not familiar with this movie, again, because it's not out everywhere. So, wherever you're listening to, maybe it might be soon. So The Favorite. In early 18th century England, a frail queen, Anne, it's Anne, right? Not Annie. Just want to make sure that
I think it's Anne.
It's Anne, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Anne occupies the throne, and her close friend, Lady Sarah, governs the country in her stead. When a new servant, Abigail, arrives, her charm endears her to Sarah. So that is the IMDb synopsis of it. This movie does star Emma Stone, stars Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Nicholas Hoult. So, good cast. And it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that name right. But yes, that is that movie, The Favorite. So, to follow up with Donnie's thoughts, my thoughts for this one, I agree on many points he mentioned, particularly that this was very interesting and it was very edgy. It wasn't one of those common, 18th century, films that are slow and it's more just kind of like observing this time period and how they handled things. This one had a personal element to it that was making it a little bit more engaging for us to follow through. And to me, I don't know if it's just my personal view, but to me, I was just looking at, like, Emma Stone as someone that was, like, put in this time period. Like, I didn't see her playing Abigail sometimes. I felt like it was, like, just Emma Stone in this setting, like if she was born. Very odd. I don't know why, because I think that kind of helps keep the interest that it's, someone I've seen in other movies. Mm-hmm. And not to say, like, Rachel Weisz was another one that I've seen in other movies, but I feel like, Emma Stone has a little bit more of that popularity status where, you know, I think of other movies she's been in recently. So I didn't see her as like Abigail most of the film. I was seeing her just like, this was like Emma Stone in this time period. But yeah, so that's helped in this movie. But no, it was definitely interesting to see. I was really more interested in the personal drama than the greater conflict that the country was in, than England was in. And I didn't know if this was a true story. Was this? Did we confirm that this was a true story?
We can look it up.
Well, we'll get to that one, but I don't know. I don't know if because there were moments where it felt like it was not making fun of, but it was not taking itself serious to some degree. So, well, I mean, we'll go into detail, but yeah, my thoughts are very similar to Donnie's. So I do want to ask this question because I think, I know the answer. I think to hit this off the strong note, is this Emma Stone's top performance?
In my personal humble opinion, I think it was a strong performance, no doubt. But to say that it was her best performance, I read a review, and there was one review said that she mastered the British accent. I don't agree with that. I don't feel like her accent was so believable that I lost sight of it, that it was Emma Stone.
I didn't even know she was doing a British accent. I guess that
like
wasn't
it didn't
even
even come off like it was that strong. And somebody wrote, like, this was a review, like I don't know what newspaper article that said Emma Stone mastered the British accent. I'm like, no, she didn't. I'm sorry, but she did not. And I love Emma Stone. We know.
Are they stating just because like a lot of her sentences at end had a little bit more of like a higher pitch to it? Like, is it just like one of those things where it's just there were moments that she said right?
I don't know. I'm trying to, you know, I don't know. I want to go back and rewatch the film just for that sake, just to specifically focus on Emma Stone, because she's getting a lot of praise for her performance, and I like it. Like I said, I do agree it was a good performance. It was a strong performance, and it was a good. She's an amazing actress, no doubt. I just don't feel that it was her best performance. I mean, I loved her in Birdman. I thought she was great in Birdman. Phenomenal. Obviously, La La Land, she won the Oscar, but that's a given. She's great in everything she does. So, but to answer your question, I don't believe that this was her strongest performance to date. I feel like it was more, she did some things that, I think the biggest thing is she did a nude scene, which, you know, as a young actress in Hollywood, kudos to her for doing something like that. I think it's not easy to do that and to expose yourself, you know, on that level. So, and it was a different role that I feel like, it was a different role from her other roles she's taken. It was more daring and more fierce, and it was good, but it was really good, but not her best. Not her best of her career, I would not say. Sorry. I love Emma Stone. If Emma Stone ever hears this, God forgive me, please. You're amazing. You're phenomenal. You're one of my favorite actresses.
To interject, it is a true story, by the way.
It is a true story, confirmed.
A fictionalized version of those characters.
A fictionalized version of true people.
Yes.
Wow, this week's theme is true.
Right. Consistent thread here.
Did we have one? The other, I think we had like another one like this where it was a theme. But yes, so I'm gonna also agree with you that I don't think this was her best performance, and I say that because I don't know really what she did that was so, you know, different. Yes, you know, like her the performances had, I think to me, had a little bit more personality. This character didn't have a strong personality that would carry the film by itself. I feel like it was her supporting cast that really helped balance the interest of this movie.
Yeah. I thought, let me just say, I totally forgot about this one, but I thought she was amazing in Battle of the Sexes. Like, that's a character where, like, I felt like it wasn't Emma Stone. Like, I felt like she was portraying a real life person.
Yeah.
Billie Jean, someone, Billie Joe King or something like that. I thought, if I had to say a greatest performance from her, I would probably pick that one over this one. Not to downplay this performance. I have to get. I'm talking in relation to the claim that this was the greatest performance of her career. I feel like other films like Birdman, like Battle of the Sexes, like La La Land, she gave stronger, more believable performances.
You hear that Emma Stone?
Billie Jean King.
He's watched your movies. He named another one to say, just in case you're still listening and didn't get turned off.
And an Easy A. Oh my God, she was amazing.
Going through her filmography, but yeah, to me, when I think of best performance, I think of something that I feel is showing a complete different range. If it is just the accent that she worked on. That's a strong skill that she gained and she developed and she probably can use in future movies. But I don't think her character really was asking for a lot. And the nude scene was, again, one of those like, congratulations on doing your first one, I guess. But
I feel like it's kind of like a victory thing for like young actresses to like go nude in a independent film. Like it's like what's that called? What's that phrase called when you do something for the first time and it welcomes you into like this club? That phrase, you know.
I just know you pop the cherry is the only one I know.
But that's what, yeah, like a rite of passage. That's what I feel like it is. Like it's a rite of passage for, you know, you're a great actress, but once you do a nude scene, you know, oh my God, you know, like it's a right. That's what I feel like.
But I feel like that usually accompanies with trying to win an award, and she's won one, so it's not like she.
Yeah, because I feel like she didn't have. I mean, and you know, maybe they really all were on the same page and was like this. There's a reason to show this, like this will add to the scene or this will play into something, because she's an established actress. She didn't have to do that if she wasn't comfortable doing it. It's not like she's up and coming and she's going to do whatever the director says. Like she had to be on board with that, and she's Emma Stone. She could totally say yes or no. So, you know, obviously, I mean, she must have felt very comfortable doing it, I would assume.
I mean, I could definitely see the interest in the story playing out. And why she wanted to be a part of it. I really don't have any bad things to say about her performance in that sense. Just to say the best, I would say no. Because honestly, later down the road, I won't label this as like one of her top performances of like, oh, if you want to see Emma Stone, watch, you know, and I don't think The Favorite's going to come up immediately unless I'm like getting like everyone was just like, oh, I've seen it. And then I'll be like, The Favorite? Like maybe down the line.
Yeah, I feel like for sure she gave a great performance, but Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz for me, they were phenomenal.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like
really
the supporting characters helped make this movie more so than like Emma Stone carrying this entire movie with her performance. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, it's a no for me too.
It's gonna be a no.
It's gonna be a no for that reason.
And for that reason, I'm out.
But yeah, so I don't know. It was a great performance. We're not taking away that she did not do a great performance. That's not what we're saying. It's just it wasn't her best. So yeah, just thought we answer that question first because I know those probably the dying question. Just kidding.
I love Emma Stone.
Everyone was. In case, yes, and if you're still listening, Emma Stone, we appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode. And Donnie's a big fan. He has your movies. But yeah, so Donnie, go ahead. Now that we're getting into the supporting cast, the Queen and Lady Sarah, and Abigail, and you liked the personal drama of this more than the country war storyline going on.
I mean, I thought it was the country, the story of the country. Like, obviously there was gonna be that. Like, they wouldn't. I mean,
she's a queen, so it's part of her life.
Yeah, like we can't shy away from that. But I feel like they did a good job. I feel like they did a good job with not boring us so much with all. There were scenes that was the focus, and like when they were in kind of that. I don't know what you would call it. What that
like meeting?
Yeah, when they would have those meetings between the two parties, and she, she'd be up there. And they did have moments where they dedicated the time to that subplot. To that what was going on, but I feel like they mixed it up enough to where it never was like, oh my God, I don't care about this. Let's go back to the juicy gossip stuff, because I felt like they both worked in each other's favor. When there was a lot of juicy gossip going on, then we went back to the, what's going on with the country. And then when that started getting a little dull, then we went back to some of the juicy gossip. in my opinion. And who doesn't love some juicy gossip? I'm just calling it juicy gossip because I don't know what else to call it. What was going on in their personal lives, I guess we could say. Yeah.
So I do want to ask this question. What was it about Sarah and Lady Sarah and the Queen that helped bring this interesting like dynamic? Because for me personally, I liked the realistic approach to these, and I know we had just said like it was fictional to some degree, but I felt like it was almost. I'm not an expert. I'm not a historian, so I can't say. But I felt like it was a little bit very accurate that you would have like a queen, someone in power that doesn't necessarily know what to do. It just happens to be, fall into her lap, and then you have people around her.
I think of like when preteens were becoming kings and queen, like Queen Antoinette when she was like 13, 14 years old or whatever, or like one of the King Louis who was like a little preteen boy, and it's like. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, how can we call them the king or the queen and give them all this power and rule? Exactly. And I feel like a lot of that back in the day, like it was like, there's no way to prove it, but like you could probably go back and pinpoint specific people that had no idea what they were doing and had no business being in the driver's seat. But they were, for whatever circumstance, they were born into it. It's in their name. It's in their blood. They were married into it. For whatever reason, they clawed their way to it, but they have this, they have this power that they can wield, and make these big decisions and rule a country and lead a country, but they're not always equipped to do it. So I like that this story showed that, like, this woman who was supposed to be, this powerful queen, she couldn't do really anything. I mean, she had a lot of personal afflictions going on, and it almost became, and not to say that, again, everyone in that position was like, but it became like a little bit of a spoiled territory where it was like she can do what she wants to and no one can say anything about it. So don't look at me, or, go get me this. It became kind of, that she took advantage of, absolutely. But yeah, when it came to like stuff that the country is like, hey, are we fighting? Are we not going to go to war? Yeah, I mean, even with the whole...
Can my husband return home? Those kinds of questions, things like that were, concerns for the citizens, for the people. The
whole whether they should sign the peace treaty and just be at peace or go back to war, or no, it was it was the treaty and raise the taxes.
Yes.
Like she didn't want to raise the taxes, but her, but Sarah was like kind of her right hand man, was saying, no, we need to do this. But she didn't even have the, I don't want to say this to sound like I'm down talking her, but she didn't have the courage or the bravery to stand up in a room and tell the people before her were going to raise the taxes. Like she was so succumbed by her fear of them not liking her and the negative attention she was going to get for it. She pretended to faint, to get out of it. It's like she couldn't do her job, and in many ways, Sarah had to do her job for her and make the decisions that she knew need to be made.
Yes.
Like Sarah was like the kind of undersung hero of England, because she was basically the queen in a sense. It's just Anne was the face.
And that's the thing that I really liked about this, was that the dynamic was, fictional, but still it felt realistic in the way that there's going to be people, next to people of power that be like, I can help, let me help. And when that door is open, I'm just like, yes, help me out, tell me what to do. It gets a little into their head too, where they're just like, I'm just as powerful as anyone else. So I really liked that dynamic that they had. And then to bring Abigail in, she definitely was just, that missing component that would cause, not for lack of a better word, drama, that would cause tension and cause doubt. And even though at first these characters were just kind of like bringing her along because they liked the little, play that, like, oh, you jealous, or, kind of that, romantic little aspects of it that they had. But here it goes, again, Abigail, like, give me an opportunity, and she's going to take advantage of it. And she started to, make the most for her own benefit.
She started making some big moves.
Yeah, so she was definitely, you know, wise in that regard. So I think that's what really was very interesting for this movie, was that the story was very simple, but you just saw three different women in three different minds, you know, in the sense of like they all were different. And it's just kind of like one has power, the other one is loyal, and this third one is, you know, brand new. Yeah.
And
So-
just doing whatever she has to do to survive. pretty
Exactly.
much.
Which, yeah,
Whatever that
so there was a
means.
lot of, you know, having to lie or having to, like, I don't want to say fake it, but like, you know, I don't even know if she really loved that guy. I don't think she did. I would say confidently she actually didn't like that guy that she marries.
Yeah, I think it was all just a power play.
It was a power play for her own comfort. But yeah, no, it was very interesting. And then Nicholas Hoult, who really is more of just kind of like tied to the war story. Very interesting dynamics. You know, he was like as like the male characters overall in this one kind of were like a little bit more. I don't want to say like not made up. That's not the word I'm going for. But like we're given a little bit of like kind of polished than the women. I felt like the women were the spotlight of this, because you don't really see any other women in the movie outside of like the ones cleaning in the beginning. But the men kind of seemed like they had it all together, took some kind of composure, and these women did not. So it was very, very like, I don't know if that was intentional, but that something was struck, because like his character was just more of like, I need to do what's best for myself and, you know, for the country to some degree, and so he had to, you know, play with Abigail, and they teamed up, and it was that kind of thing where they both were like, we're doing this for our own reasons, but it just happens to line up together. So very interesting, you know, dynamics in that. And so I enjoyed all those relationships, and I think that's what made this movie interesting following along, because the time period itself, I think there's been better stories that have been told in this era in the 18th century. So it had to do something different.
Was it the
and
18th century?
Yeah, according to IMDb.
I don't know what century this movie I'm about to say was, but it was definitely around that same kind of era. But it was the other Boleyn girl. Did you ever see that one, Ruben? It's with Natalie Portman, Eric Bana, and Scarlett Johansson, and it was
That was 16th century.
oh, okay.
I just looked it up.
But kind of same like style, like way back when, where there was like, you know, and it was you know, this country going to war with that country, and there was like a fight for power, and these two sisters, Scarlett Johansson and Natalie Portman, they were kind of vying for the affection of the king, and one was doing it because she really loved the king, the other one was doing it out of spite and out of vengeance. But it reminded me of it kind of when I was watching this movie, The Favorite, I was thinking of that film and comparing the two. And when you said that there have probably been better films about this kind of time era, maybe not the specific century, but the era. I would say that The Other Boleyn Girl was one of those films that was better. It was a better told, more complete story, and just as like scandalous and salacious, and enough personal drama to keep you invested. But also, it also was gave a lot of history about the countries and going to war, which were very, very entertaining as well. So I guess I just wanted to share that.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I mean, this definitely worked more so with the characters. I think this was better character driven than plot wise. There's a lot of things that you know were both to me at least kind of was like, are we appreciating this time period, or are we kind of just simulating where assumptions are? And the biggest thing that comes to mind that was very, very hard to just really like be like, is this right? Was that dance sequence towards the beginning of the movie, I would say.
Yeah. When Queen Anne was wheeled in, and
yes,
she was just kind of watching them.
Yeah, and Lady Sarah dances with that one guy. It was like
that was a moment too. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be comical or if that's really how they danced back then.
Yeah, and
so I didn't know if me laughing would be inappropriate or.
And I think when you said it after the movie, but there was a lot of times where you're just like, is this supposed to be like a funny moment, or is this like an actual like piece of what they did in this period? Yeah, very random moments that like that would just like.
Ruben has a thought. I could see something brewing behind his eyes. He's like staring at you, head tilted, mouth slightly open, like ready to interject.
Well, you can't be admiring me.
Hella busted him out. Did you have something you wanted to say?
You're the one that mentioned him.
No.
I just want to give you the floor if you have something.
I don't think it's very significant. And they probably won't hear me.
We'll repeat it.
Donnie's gonna literally copy word for word what you said. So.
Yeah.
No, what was I gonna say? I didn't know if there's some stuff that was supposed to be modern, if it was done on purpose, because maybe that stuff was stuff that was around back then. Like they said fuck a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Other words that I'm like, were they saying these words?
Oh, okay. So yeah, so the way they were speaking, what we weren't sure if that was really how they spoke back then,
And the dancing was
or
funny.
if they were doing it for the sake of the film.
Yeah. And the dancing too, I was like, are these just some of those moves look current, or
Yeah.
so I'm like, are they saying it's derived from this time, or they're just trying to be funny?
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree with that too, because there was one point, I don't know when it was on when Abigail married the guy and her husband was like, I'm sitting here hard as a rock, and I was like, is that an expression that they would have used back then? I don't know. That sounds like a more up to date kind of expression, because we still use that expression today. So I get what you're saying, Ruben. It didn't seem like at least the dialogue was 100% authentic to the 16th century, was it 16th century?
18th century.
The 18th century.
The other boiling girl was.
Yeah, sorry, I'm confusing the two now.
So with that being said, I guess it's only fair to ask what your favorite scene was of this movie, or maybe it wasn't a scene, but what was some highlights?
Yeah, this was another one where there were a couple of highlights. I'm trying to, because some of them were highlights for like weird reasons, like the scene where she was reading in the woods and the guy that she did end up marrying, when he came and like scared her, and then they were like rolling around, tussling and kind of wrestling.
Yeah.
And
there
was this kind of like coy like playfulness, but she was like, they'd kiss and then she'd knee him and then in the balls, and then he'd go, it was like really kind of a little weird. It was a little weird, but it was also playful, and I was just like, what's going on? Like, but I found myself kind of like smiling while watching the whole thing play out. And I was trying to figure out, is she, because you could tell he really was intrigued by her and really wanted to progress with her.
Yeah, he was legit happy they were married.
But she was like, I was like, is she playing him right now? Is this all her act? Is that she's just trying to get ahead?
Yep.
So that was one scene that was interesting. The scenes with Sarah and Queen Anne I really liked too, because she's the queen. It's like, you can't talk to her like that. You can't do any, you have to respect her. But Sarah was very like the voice of reason and would very tell her like, stop crying. Why are you crying? You look like a badger. And I really liked those moments, because it just was like, there was nobody else was going to tell her that. She had nobody in her life that was going to tell her the truth except Sarah. Sarah was the only one. And kind of fast forward to the end of the scene when they were on the opposite sides of the wall, and she was saying, basically saying her goodbyes. And Sarah had said something like, do you want me to lie to you? That, I tell you the truth because that's what love is. And I was like, wow, and I thought that she was going to like open the door and embrace her at that moment, but she didn't. But that was another scene that I like. I really, really liked Sarah. We didn't really talk about her too much, but I thought Rachel Weisz was phenomenal.
Before I would give my favorite scene, I think you kind of bring it up, and I think it's only fair to talk about it. Both Sarah and the ending. Sarah in particular I guess Abigail and Sarah, they kind of have complete different fates. Sarah was loyal and doing what she was best for the country and for the queen. Mm-hmm. And Abigail was for her own agenda that wanted to just get out of the the place that she was in after being, higher than that, but due to her father's, was it actions or something along with the family history that,
Yeah, like he sold her.
that brought her, down. She wanted to climb back up. So, and ultimately, Sarah loses and she's, forced to leave this area, and Abigail stays and gets, ranked up, I guess. So yeah, it was very odd to have that, change of heart. For you to start empathizing with Sarah and start hating on Abigail, because it became a different character than the beginning where you rooted for Abigail and you're just like, yeah, do what you can, take advantage,
Yeah.
Fight against the system kind of thing. And for Sarah, you're just like, what an evil person. Like, clearly she is getting all this in her head and, not even being a faithful friend maybe, or you start questioning her decisions as well. And it flips at the end.
Yeah, and that was really interesting too. Like towards the beginning of the film, I was rooting for Abigail, and I was kind of turned off by Sarah, put off by her and her character. But by the end of the film, it was the exact opposite. I was put off by Abigail so much, and I was like, I was feeling for Sarah, and I felt really, really empathetic for her, and I wanted her to come back and wanted her to prevail again and come on top again. So it was interesting. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But it was a total shift. It was a 180 for sure, I would say. And Queen Anne, I felt the same way. I think I just grew more sorry for her as we saw her physical health declined more and more, and that she ended up kind of driving away Sarah and embracing Abigail for the wrong reasons. I felt even more just pity for her, and like, you at least had something really special with Sarah, but now you're only getting worse in health. Your health's declining, and you're becoming more, agonized and lonely, and just all these. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just felt really. It was just like going downhill for Queen Anne. I just felt bad for her.
And to turn to that ending, because all of us were just like, what? It was very odd. It was like a moment where, I guess it was kind of highlighting both, like Abigail, like finally reaching her peak of like she's gone too far, where she was almost killing one of the bunnies for pleasure. It wasn't even for a reason. For pleasure, she was squishing it, and then the queen has that moment of realization that she may have just made a wrong decision of losing Sarah, and then forces Abigail to rub her leg, and then pushes her hand on her to kind of be like, I'm still in charge, and you're
it seemed like she was trying to kind of demoralize her a little, like to remind her, you're still down here.
Yeah. But
I'm still the queen.
But the visuals of it was like, then he started to see like some like bunnies like kind of
like overlapping on Abigail's face, which is overlapping on Queen Anne's face, very much so. I'm not trying to this is a random comparison, but the Adele "Send My Love to Your New Lover" video, it was scenes overlapping like that, like kind of transparent. Each scene was transparent. You could see the next one and the next one. It was like that.
And Adele, if you're listening to this episode, Donnie,
I don't know what that style is called, but that's what it was like.
Yeah, for sure. So that was very, very odd. And I'm assuming that Emma Stone's character realized it. Kind of, she realized, I'm still nothing. I don't know. I didn't.
That's all. That's what I think the takeaway was.
She had a blank face, like it wasn't,
because it looked like she felt like she was humiliated. Like, I don't know. I felt like there was some sorrow in her face.
Yeah.
Maybe I did go too far, and I still am this nobody who's on the floor, below the queen. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's all I can. Ruben. Yeah, we're kind of like.
we're all puzzled. I just thought it would be worth mentioning because that was definitely one of those. Yeah, the bunnies, yeah, which was, in reference for those that haven't seen the movie, it was the one thing that she loved, because her kids died and she was alone at this point. So
she had 17. It was like a mixture of stillbirths, miscarriages, and premature deaths.
Yeah. And so yeah, the bunnies were a representation of that. So
she had adopted like brought in 17 bunnies that she called her like babies.
Yeah.
Kind of like her surrogates. But yeah, I don't even, and why the bunnies were on that final scene, maybe what I had said last night was maybe because she was still in such despair and agony and pain over the loss of all her children. And maybe that just like will always continue to haunt her and torment her. That's the only thing I can draw up, but I could be completely wrong.
Right.
I still don't know. That's just a guess.
Well, guys, I made the phone call. We have the director. Just kidding. But yeah, so I don't know. Just wanted to bring that up because I know we talked about it after the movie, so it's only fair to bring it out into the conversation that everyone can listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just wanted to mention that. So for me, the highlight of this movie, at least to like what I found very interesting, was the moment where I don't know if I should put it in context. It was kind of like, I don't know if this was Abigail's at this point. She was still working her way up, but she was bonding with the queen, and like they had stopped at the moment and they were listening to music, and the queen got like upset and yelled at them.
Mm-hmm.
That entire scene, the way it was very interesting because I don't know, to me, like it felt like the queen, and I believe the queen knew the game Abigail was playing, but she was like still appreciating it. So it was very interesting to see that kind of odd of like, because we all probably have those moments where just like, we shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I shouldn't be taking advantage of the opportunity, but there's some guilty pleasure or something like, small or big, whatever the case could be,
right,
for people. And I just felt like that. It felt like that. It was very odd. Because to Abigail, she's like, yes, like, I'm making it work. But to the queen, it was like, I'm just enjoying this. And then like something overcame her and she kind of like, started walking away in pain and she was like losing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was very, very impactful because the queen was kind of having like a little crisis, despite, being aware of the situation. So I thought that was really nice. I thought that was like the peak to me where I was like, oh, so this is more personal for all of them. Then this isn't like, a natural, like, oh, a love story, or this isn't a natural, like, friends that formed or anything like that. This was like everyone had a personal agenda.
Mm-hmm.
The queen, Sarah, and Abigail. And then another moment that I just laughed. It's in the trailer, but when she's yelling at the guy why did she look at him? And then like, look at her. Don't look at her.
How dare you?
Yeah. Those little things.
Mm-hmm.
So with all that being said, Donnie, what is your score for this movie?
I'm between two scores right now.
Should want me to give mines?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll give mine.
Well, you got 2 seconds.
I think I'm gonna buy a little time.
I'm trying to. I know.
Sorry, let me just take a drink of water. No, I think I'm gonna give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I felt like the acting was very strong, the performances, and it was the 3 female performances that were driving this movie, and I felt like they did it effectively, and they all did. They all were such different characters, and there was this, this triangle, this messy ass triangle that was kind of the pulse of the film, and I really was into it, and it was interesting and entertaining, and they had, like I said, I feel like they had enough of the drama going on with the country and the treaties and the war, and they also had enough of it. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't as equal to the personal drama, but it was enough. They gave us more personal drama, more scandal that I did like, and I like I said, I wanted to sink my teeth into. And we did see these characters kind of go through transformations. Abigail's was, like this personal transformation. The Queen's was a physical transformation. Sarah's was this I don't really feel like she transformed. She just
went through a lot.
She just went through a lot, and it was all for the love that she had for her country and for the Queen. but I think it was, I think it was well told. The problems that I had with the film, like I said, were the conflicting, dramatic, comedic elements. Obviously the ending, I wasn't sure what to gain from it, and that was another point we brought up. We weren't sure what we were supposed to walk away with from the film. Like, what was the one lesson? What was the big takeaway, the big grasp? I was a little like, I don't really know, other than to not let temporary, fleeting moments kind of dictate substantial, long-term and long-enduring things that in your life. I guess, don't push away people that have been there from the beginning just because someone new and shiny comes along. That's one thing. But yeah, I guess I was a little confused on what to take away. But other than that, I thought visually the movie was beautiful. Really captured the age and the time, and like once again the performances were great. And I liked the way it was scored. And I even appreciated. It's kind of like a A for effort kind of thing, but how they broke it up into chapters.
An A for effort.
It didn't do much for me.
It didn't do anything.
But I appreciated them trying to do something. They're trying to do something. So
so that's where the 0.5 comes. Got it.
So, but yeah, I mean, really, I would say just that the performances really drove this movie. So, but yeah, I would say 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
I figured out the ending.
Ah.
The bunnies.
Yeah.
Okay.
The gist is that. The why.
Why don't you just get on the mic and say it?
No.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
No, come on. You're not.
No,
it's not much.
It's super simple. It's like super simple.
Say it so the listeners can hear.
What was I gonna say? Oh, basically the gist is that they're superimposed the two women's faces because they realize that they both need each other to exist in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
The queen needs the love. Abigail needs the queen to kind of have the status, even though she's already has a status, but she's living in the castle, all that kind of stuff. The bunnies end up coming into play because the queen basically realizes that Abigail is just another one of her bunnies. She's like a replacement for like that love that she was wanting. Which is
wow.
what the bunnies are for. That makes so much sense.
I wish they could have relayed that, because that makes
a lot of sense.
Yeah. Now we get it. Now I appreciate that.
It's like her realization that, she's just another one of my bunnies. Basically.
I wish they could have found some
bad.
kind of neater way to deliver that to the audience, because I didn't get that.
I didn't get that.
But that makes perfect sense.
She's on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
She's all cuddly.
Right.
Being all nice, and then she.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow. I feel like
so I was gonna give this movie a 1, but now it's a 5. With
I know. I'm gonna change my score.
No.
No. I still give it a 3.5.
It's set in stone. It's established. So I guess I don't know if that 0.5 is because of the A for effort or Emma Stone that you're giving some credibility to. The most important device in my life just fell. I'm giving this a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
And I'm giving it a 3 out of 5.
Bro. I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's been worse movies. So I give it this rating just because I felt like this movie had a lot more things that I felt like were probably working for the person that was creating it, or those those that are involved that understood why they were doing the scenes. I don't think it really came off clear for the general audience to understand what each scene represents, or why things were happening in specific ways, or what was the purpose of providing the dialogue this way and things like that. Why did it include the dance? I feel like that was a big problem with this movie, is that it's one thing for you to say, I understand this vision that I have about this movie, and to plan it out with the actors to say, okay, I understand what the scene's going for. But it has to deliver on the screen. You have to get that message, or you have to get it to come across. Mm-hmm. And for some that it might click, and for some it it falls right through what's supposed to. For others, it's just missing the hole. So to me, I felt like it missed the hole. There were strong performances. The performances is what really carries this movie, and really drives it. But the plot is, you know, I don't want to say simple, but it to the point where I wasn't also looking forward to the next scene, or I wasn't like, oh, this is getting good, like this is about to go down. Like they both, you know what the play is here. Like it was more of just like, okay.
So we all agreed that after it seemed Abigail kind of won and was getting Sarah thrown out, nothing much more happened after the movie.
Right.
Like there was nothing. Right. There was not a lot more to gain. We could have landed the plane a little earlier than what we landed it at.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That was that to it. And there were some camera scenes that I was like, why are we doing it in this lens? I don't know if you guys saw. There was some of them that were kind of like, yeah. I
didn't care for that.
And I was like, what are we doing with this? Why are you switching it up in particular moments?
They seem to interject it like randomly, and it didn't. Yes. It didn't add anything to the scene. There was no reason to film it in that style.
And that's the thing that I'm really kind of just, staying with this score is because, again, for the director and the cast and the crew, there might be a reason, but it didn't play off. It didn't resonate. Yeah, exactly. It didn't successfully provide that for the general audience. And not to say you have to spoon feed and be like, this is character development. This is an arc. It wasn't like that kind of spoon feed we needed, but we still needed to visually understand why you were doing the bunnies at the very end and things like that. So yeah. So a 3 out of 5 is my score for the strong performances. Really, So we'll see. We'll see if
how many awards it gets, how many nominations.
Right. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if it gets nominated for Golden Globes. That's going to be next week.
I can totally see. What's the queen's name? The actress.
Queen Anne.
Yeah, it's I got it right here. Olivia Colman. I can totally see Olivia Colman getting nominated. I think if I had to pick someone getting nominated out of this film, I think it would be her.
Yeah, we'll see. Next week we do have the nominations for Golden Globes, so tune into that episode. It's also going to be our 100th episode as well.
What? So get out of here.
I'm going to do a lot of reflecting. So Donnie, get your.
Oh, I'm gonna put my reflectors hat on.
I was gonna. What?
Because I'm saying.
Is that? I know. I felt like that was one. You threw me off now because you said you could put it on.
My bad.
So yes, that's gonna be our episode next week. So definitely tune into that one. It's our 100th big episode. We're excited about that. We're gonna be doing both the nominations and also kind of just looking back. Since it's relevant, all the movies that are going to be nominated, movies we should have seen. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Definitely a lot more that we saw this year than the prior year.
Exactly. Compared to the last nominations for Golden Globes, I think we've improved. So we're making some progress.
Yeah.
And so if we didn't think this was her best performance, there's actually news coming out that she is in talks to play Cruella de Vil, Emma Stone specifically. So.
Wow, that'd be interesting. I could see that.
We'll see if she can be Cruella de Vil.
I think she could be.
I mean, she was a little evil here, so yeah. And, I don't know. To me, I don't think she can pull it off. But if she gets cast, I will watch to make that decision. I'm not just gonna, But based off what I've seen from her so far, I don't think she can pull off Cruella de Vil. In this movie, she was evil, but she wasn't like. It was more selfish evil. It wasn't like, oh, I hate her. She wasn't even evil, exactly. So, good point. So yeah, we'll see. I just wanted to bring that up because she already has her next movie in line. So.
Okay, cool.
Well, maybe.
Perhaps.
So we'll see. But yeah, so everyone, thank you for listening to the episode. Let us know what you think about The Favorite. Let us know if you liked it, disliked it, loved it, hate it, want to see it, don't want to see it, didn't care for it. Thought about it, but then you heard our review and realized it wasn't even that good. So now you're gonna just wait for digital. Anything.
Giving them a lot of options here.
Right. Just let us know. Let us know what you thought about the movie, or if you plan to see it if you haven't seen it yet.
Let us know if it was your favorite.
Oh my god.
Wink.
Did you put the dad cap on? The dad jokes is coming.
Yeah. There's a month to do some dad humor. I think December is the month.
Okay. Sure. I don't really have a count and be like.
Ruben said true.
Anyways, so you can comment on us on YouTube and also on our social media platforms. We have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Team Reel-ists. That's Team Reel-ists, no dash. If I said it too fast, just rewind and replay.
Team R-double-E-L.
Oh, Donnie's doing it for you. Good job. But yes, thank you everyone for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, see ya.